Welcome to the set of Football Night in America, wrapping up Week 14. Rodney Harrison, Tony Dungy, Mike Tirico. We actually have notes today. It's very professional, organized today.
I'm impressed.
I want to start with a team that is very disorganized every time they have to play in South Florida, the Patriots. What happens to the Patriots when they go to Miami, and specifically, what in the world happened today?
I don't know. Maybe they don't realize how good the Miami Dolphins are. Today was just inexcusable. Coach Belichick, I think he kind of overthought the situation, putting Rob Gronkowski in, taking Devin McCourty out. It's one of those things where you see a lot of sloppy football play, undisciplined, and it's not typical of a Patriot team.
Yeah, it wasn't just Coach Belichick, though, and the defense had some breakdowns. We saw some long runs, and that speed or lack of speed on the Patriots defense show up. But Tom Brady, at the end of the first half, when have you ever seen him make a mistake like that, not throw a ball away, cost his team 3 points? That usually doesn't happen.
It was shocking. Miami's played some of the most bizarre home games this year. The game against Tennessee that went on and wouldn't end, the wild finish with Chicago. They've had entertaining home games, and I think you made a good point, Rodney. They're a decent team. They have kept themselves in the playoff race because they've played well at home. They go to Minnesota next week. Can they do it? But it was odd to see the Patriots make those multiple non-Patriot-like mistakes. You were there for so many of those practices. When I had a chance to do games and get to go to practice, the Patriots practice a couple of days before the game, one of the most meticulous in any sport by any team, because they cover all those situations, and today those situations were failures for them.
End of the first half, you know Tom has done that a million times. Coach Belichick put the ball on the 4-yard line. There's 10 seconds left, no timeouts. We're going to take one shot at the end zone. If it's not there, throw it away. And it just didn't happen
today. It was really surprising to me because when I was there, that was something that we really focused on. Sure. We watched tape, we walked through situations, we practiced situations, and for that team not to be prepared for that situation, I just couldn't believe it.
Tom Brady, 7-10 in his career against Miami in their stadium. It's not like we're talking about the Dolphins team in the 70s either. Yeah, I don't get it, especially because it felt like everything was set up for the Patriots to take the #1 seed, now enter the Kansas City Chiefs. They had a tough one today against the Ravens, but they came out on the right side of it. And Patrick Mahomes, we've had this debate all year long, who's the MVP. As we get closer to the end, if the Chiefs end up with the 1 seed, it's got to be Patrick Mahomes.
It's close. I mean,
it's still an Aaron Donald guy.
Aaron Donald, he's been playing terrific. Patrick Mahomes, he's done something that I've never seen a young guy come in the league and do. So you have to keep that in consideration. However, that defense made a few plays down the stretch, Mike. We always give the offense credit, but that defense made some key plays.
They did, but they were playing against Lamar Jackson and a limited offense. I was impressed with Mahomes. He's playing against a very good defense that gave him a lot of looks and different things. Tyreek Hill's injured. Ware goes out of the game. He's on his 3rd running back, and he's making plays 3rd and long, 4th down against a very good defense, play after play after play.
I've never seen you this excited other than Peyton Manning, from a quarterback.
Yeah,
you love this kid.
I do. I just think his knowledge of the game, his awareness, his cool, his poise. I haven't seen anything like this in a young quarterback.
Phenomenal Thursday night game with Kansas City and the Chargers with the 2 best records in the AFC. I just want to take a half second to pivot to Baltimore. Baltimore feels like they can beat anyone in the AFC. They feels like they can beat Pittsburgh out for the lead and maybe the title in the North. But they're also not too far away from falling out of the playoff picture because they have to play the Chargers in a couple of weeks.
A lot of people are hoping they fall out because even as a wild card team going on the road, because they can run the football and that defense, they can beat anybody in the AFC.
What does Harbaugh do now at quarterback? If Flacco is healthy, Lamar Jackson gave him a chance to win at Kansas City against a terrific team. I think it's going to be interesting to watch how that plays out the last 3 weeks.
I'll just tell you this, as a defensive player, I would rather play Joe Flacco because you know he's a pocket guy. He's not going to scramble around. And to watch film and to watch Lamar Jackson, all the different things that they can do with him, plus you have to stop the run game. That's something as a defensive player I would want to do.
And if you're a defender on the Ravens team, you say, hey, we've got a good defense. We can hold people down. If we can run the ball like that and all the things that Jackson does and use the clock, that's how we're going to go on the road and win. I think you got to stay with Lamar.
There one incredible 4th down play from Mahomes from winning in Kansas City and really changing the tone of the final 3 weeks with the Ravens-Steeler conversation.
And plus, he's your future. Joe Flacco's not your future.
But there was some talk recently about maybe both of them playing. And if you want to put pressure on an opposing defense with a week to prepare, you got to account for Flacco, you got to account for Jackson. You don't know who's going to show up at any given moment.
I'm really scared about Flacco.
But if you prepared
I'm just
all
saying,
week,
he's missed all his time. Now you think he's going to come in and do something?
But if you've prepared all week for Lamar Jackson and they put Flacco out there for a couple of series, you're not going to be ready for it.
What has he done last 3 years. He hasn't done anything that's my whole point.
He did win games at Pittsburgh and at Tennessee this year.
They haven't been in the playoffs, man.
I understand. I'm just saying. What you asked, what
I'm
did
just
he
saying,
do?
why are you yelling at me, Mike? I just made a statement.
I understand. I'm just refuting your statement with facts here.
Speaking of Pittsburgh, they had won 6 in a row. Now they've lost 3 in a row. They could fall out of the playoffs altogether. Baltimore could easily leapfrog them. They could be on the outside looking in. Coach, you played in Pittsburgh, you know Mike Tomlin. What do you think has gone on the last few weeks?
Well, I think he's a little frustrated. Number one, defensively, they've started giving up those big plays again in critical situations. And then offensively, I think losing James Conner has really hurt their mentality of not thinking they're a running football team. They can still run the ball. They've got a great offensive line, but it's been pass.
Kind of goes back when they had Todd Haley. They just get to a point where they just want to spread everything out and pass the ball. They still have guys that are very capable of running, but also missed kicks, some internal issues, Big Ben pointing fingers. I think all that within a locker room, it causes that strife, Mike.
Really surprising to watch them go to Oakland and play like that. And by the way, you know, this is the part of the year that I never understand, but you guys understand because you competed and were in locker rooms and led teams. San Francisco, 2 wins. Terrific effort against a hot Denver team. Oakland, 2 wins coming in. Last week, good effort against Kansas City. This week, beating Pittsburgh, a team that really needed it, because this was the one Pittsburgh was counting on with what's coming up on the schedule, New England and at New Orleans. So you always doubt these teams, but yet they find a way the last 3 weeks to surprise you.
What's the National Football League? All these players can play. Everybody's capable of games like that. And now can you do it consistently in December? And that's what the playoff teams have to do.
You know what I find myself doing, Mike, all the time? You sit back with the Pittsburgh Steelers and you just automatically assume they're going to be okay.
Yes.
You know what? The Steelers are going to get back on track. They're going to be fine. And it's just not the case. They got a tough schedule coming up. They got to play the Patriots, who's going to be very angry coming off that, and the Saints. So it could be close. They might not make the playoffs.
And if they don't, you know, you've heard it before. In Pittsburgh, they start calling for Mike Tomlin.
I'm already getting tweets and texts. Hey, talk to Mr. Rooney. Tell him we need to make a change. No, people, it's what have you done for me lately in Pittsburgh?
All right, rapid fire to wrap it up. Who's the MVP of the Dallas Cowboys?
I would say DeMarcus Lawrence.
I would say Leighton Vander Esch or Amari Cooper. I mean, you have to look at Cooper right now.
Mike?
Jerry and Stephen Jones. The acquisitions made here have kind of got this team. And that even speaks to the drafting. People question, do you take a wide receiver, Calvin Ridley, not Van Der Esch? They question the Jalen Smith pick because of the injury he was coming off of, suffered in the bowl game when he was playing at Notre Dame. Those guys have turned out to be difference makers on their defense. So
I've got Ezekiel Elliott because he did something before that Eagles game to wake those guys up and get them to take every game seriously. They haven't blown anybody out. All the games have been close, but they keep winning one after another after another.
What about Jason Garrett?
Well,
remember just a little
we
bit over a month ago.
We were burying them after the Tennessee game. They got Amari Cooper. They haven't lost since.
we do rapid fire
You're
really
right,
well.
Mike.
yeah,
We do rapid fire really well.
we're firing. It's just not rapidly. All right, here's another one. Okay, a team that's currently I got to stay true to the notes. Team that's currently out of the playoff hunt that you think can get back in.
Coach?
Indianapolis Colts. Good defense and Andrew Luck.
I think I want to say Tennessee. There really aren't many to choose from. The NFC, I don't see any of those 3 teams that are lurking a game back, making a push up. So I'm going to say Tennessee in the AFC.
I would agree with Coach. Tennessee. Indianapolis. I don't like Tennessee at all.
I never give up on my Super Bowl pick until they're mathematically eliminated. So I like the Packers. I like the Packers to pull the inside straight.
Okay.
So you get to 8-7-1.
Yeah.
We walked through the scenario. It's a tough one.
You convinced me, though.
But it is plausible.
All right. We saw a couple of tough losses today. The Patriots going down in Miami with that miracle lateral at the end. The Steelers kicker slipping and falling on the 40-yard try. What's the worst, craziest loss you ever were involved in as a player?
The Super Bowl. The David Tyree catch. Yeah, 2007.
I'm going to go as an assistant coach. Kansas City Chiefs, Derek Thomas has 7 sacks. He's got Dave Craig in his grasp for the 8th sack to set the record. We're going to win the game. And Craig spins out, throws a touchdown pass on the last play of the game, costs us home field advantage.
Derek Thomas. He got,
Had 7 sacks. He's killing the Seattle Seahawks. And I'm celebrating in the box thinking it's over, and he slips out. And throws the game winner.
I'm luckily undefeated. Like you.
Well, that's true. We're fine there. Although as a fan, I'm still carrying around the scars of the Hail Mary game, Vikings-Cowboys from 1975.
The A.J. Dewey game, Jets-Dolphins, AFC Championship game, if you want to go to fandom. But like I said, we're undefeated.
Yep. All right, we're undefeated here, too. They don't keep wins and losses, which is always good for us. We'll see you back here again next week.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.